Okay. Pick one about Egypt.
The Nile River brought life to Egypt and enabled it to thrive. The Nile created a fertile valley in the desert. The rocky and hilly land to the south of Egypt created cataracts. The first cataract marks the border of Egypt. Near the Mediterranean, the Nile split, making a delta. The Nile flooded yearly, bringing fertile soil to farm. At first, hunter-gatherers moved to the Nile Valley. Later, these people learned to farm. They formed small farming villages. These villages got bigger and bigger. Then they all grew to form the two kingdoms, Upper and Lower Egypt. According to tradition, around 3100 BC, Menes rose to power in Upper Egypt. He sent his armies to Lower Egypt and married the princess of Lower Egypt. Menes wore both crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt, and he became the first pharaoh. He also set up the first dynasty. People believed Pharaoh ruled Egypt as a god. Egypt thrived and improved irrigation systems and trade.
Summary of the story.
Section 2. Around 2700 BC, a third dynasty rose to power. This started the Old Kingdom. This kingdom lasted 500 years. Egyptians continued to develop their political system. The ancient Egyptians believed that Egypt belonged to the gods, and that Pharaoh had come to earth to manage Egypt for the gods. So Pharaoh had all the power, but people blamed him if crops didn't grow or if disease struck. The most famous pharaoh of the Old Kingdom was Khufu, who ruled in 2500 BC. We know a lot about him because of his statues. The population of the Old Kingdom grew, and they formed social classes. At the top was the pharaoh. Just below him were the priests and key government officials. Next was the middle class, which were the lesser government officials, scribes, and a few rich craftspeople. The lower class was farmers, servants, and slaves. As society developed, Egyptians began trading. Egyptians were polytheists. They also believed that when you died, your ka left its body, but still linked to it and needed to eat and drink. They also believed that the ka would not stay linked if it couldn't recognize the body, so they mummified them by embalming them and wrapping them in cloth. But only members of Egypt's elite, or people of wealth and power, could afford to be mummified. For the pharaoh's tombs, people made huge pyramids and filled them with all the stuff needed for the afterlife.
After the Old Kingdom, Egypt fell to disorder for 160 years, being ruled by local nobles. The Middle Kingdom began until 1750 BC, until a group from West Asia, the Hyksos, invaded, and the kingdom fell. The New Kingdom rose about
Is there an 8th grader who wants to feed the frog?
1550 BC. Hyksos were pushed out, and Egypt conquered Kush, Assyria, Babylon, and the Hittites. After the New Kingdom, the Sea People conquered Egypt, and after 50 years of fighting, they were forced out. Even though the kingdoms rose and fell, work and daily life stayed the same. There were scribes, artisans, artists, architects, merchants, traders, soldiers, farmers, and peasants. Egyptian achievements were great. They made their own writing system, hieroglyphics, and wrote on papyrus, which lasted very long. We found out how to decode it by the Rosetta Stone. They built great temples, which were the homes of gods, and guarded by them with sphinxes. They also built obelisks that were tall and pointed. They made great art too, and put them in tombs and pyramids. With the paintings were also carvings and jewelry.